A very good afternoon and namaste to all dear learners. I, Dr. Mahesh Singh, Professor Plant Pathology, Tirthankar Mahavir University, Muradabad, Uttar Pradesh, welcome you all in NIUS live studio program under Vocational Education, and under the course name is Plant Protection. Dear learners, today we will discuss about the major topic, that is diseases and insect pest of paddy crop and their management. Dear learners, we hope you all are doing very well. So that's why we will start the today's session by under this objective. We will study about the symptoms of major diseases and the insect pest caused by the major insects for the major crop, that is rice, and their etiology, disease cycle, as well as identification of the major insects for the suitable management practices, and the major insect for the rice crop for better and assured yield. Dear learners, at the end of the session, you will be able to understand about the diseases, their economic loss, their causal agents, symptoms, favorable conditions for the spread of the pathogen as well as disease cycle, identification of the major insect pest for the paddy crop, and what will be the suitable management practices for the that insect pest. So that's why we will study in details. Dear learners, as you know, rice is a major staple food for the which is belonging to the family Poaceae. It is the most important, you can say, the cereal crop, and which is consumed by the more than 50% of the world population. Dear learners, however it is cultivated in the rice is often challenging by the presence of the various diseases as well as insect pests that can be significantly impact on the yield as well as the quality. Farmers' losses were estimated average about the 37 to 40% of the rice crop due to the insect pest as well as disease. And these biotic stresses pose the continuous threats to rice production, that is necessitating through the understanding of their nature that will impact on the management strategy also. Dear learners, rice disease caused by so many biotic factors like fungi, bacteria, viruses, nematodes that can affect the different parts of the rice plant. These diseases can lead to the reduced photosynthesis process and nutrient uptake also, and even the plant death also sometime in the severe condition. Insect are the another major challenges in rice cultivation that will be the causing damage by feeding on the various plant parts and the transmitting the disease also. And insect pests that can higher the rice growth, reduce the yield as well as the compromising the grain quality also. And dear learners, the some important list of the rice diseases are like brown spot of rice, rice blast, Tungro disease of rice, it is a viral disease, Khaira disease of rice, it is a deficiency by zinc, and bacterial leaf blight, sheath blight of rice, false smut, rice grassy stunt, bacterial stripe diseases, and grain rot, foot rot, sheath rot of rice, grain discoloration. So these are some major diseases of paddy crop, which is very important, and it causes the major loss of the rice growing area. And I have also mentioned some important insect pest of the rice, that is grasshopper, leafhoppers, stem borer, cutworms, mealybug, and kalmis. So these are some major insect pests which are also affect the paddy crops. And dear learners, first disease is brown leaf spot disease. It is also important disease which is a fungal disease basically, and it affect the leaves, leaf sheaths, panicle branches and as well as the glooms of the paddy crop, and it also known as helminthosporosis sporosis disease of rice, and it is a disease of widespread occurrence in almost all paddy growing area of the world. You can say it is a worldwide in distribution where paddy has been growing, and brown leaf spot of rice is one of the most serious disease that can affect the growing rice crop. Basically means vegetative part of the rice has been more affected by this disease, and this disease is a principal cause of the famous Bengal famine. As you know, it was held in about 1942 to 43, which resulted in the death of the millions of the people due to the malnutrition disease also. And this disease, however, is widely distributed throughout the country, especially along with the state of Bengal, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu and so many parts of our country also. And symptoms of this disease is basically, bipolaris oryzae, and earlier it was known as helminthosporium oryzae. And the symptoms for this disease is the fungus attack on the crop from seedling stage to milking stage in the main field. So you can see in the starting from the nursery to main field, at any stage the symptoms can be appeared, and the symptoms appear as the minute spots on the coleoptile leaves and leaf blades, leaf sheath and glooms also. And it with the basically spots become cylindrical to oval and as well as in the dark to yellowish color, and it sometime it may be circular also, and some spots may collapse together to form a larger or circular area or irregular sometime also. And about the disease cycle, dear learners, the disease cycle in infected starts from the basically infected seeds as well as the stubbles are the most common source for the primary infection. Dear learners, in the previous affected crops may be serves as the primary source of the inoculum, and the conidia presents on the infected grain also, and in the form of mycelium in the infected tissues are available for 2 to 3 years in the dormant condition in the field, and airborne conidia infect the plant both in the nursery and in the main field also. So the fungus also survive on the collateral host like Listeria and so many other weeds also. And favorable condition for the spread of the disease are basically 25 to 30 degrees centigrade is the more favorable for the spread of the disease, and secondary spread are more chances for this temperature, and the relative humidity will be the more than 80% will affect the major disease. And about the disease management, dear learners, the managing the disease is very important because it causes only this disease. Due to this disease, about the 30 to 50% depending on the severity of the disease. So that's why the management of the disease is more important. So first of all, cultural practices, dear learners, as you know, the cultural practices is very important because if the you do not maintain the proper spacing between the plants to plant or row to row, and good drainage condition will also be important, and avoiding the excessive use of nitrogenous fertilizer that can help to reduce the disease severity, and field sanitation and the use of healthy seed that should be the very preferred, and the stubble should be the destroy. Dear learners, after the harvesting of the crop, you have to destroy the stubbles and to avoid the soil borne inoculum in the soil. And you can use the slow release nitrogenous fertilizer, which is advisable, because slow release nitrogenous that can help to reduce the disease severity. So it is a very important to manage the through crop rotation also, because the as you know, 2 to 3 years the inoculum present in the soil. That's why the crop rotation practices with the non-host crop that can help to reduce the overwintering and the source of the pathogens also. And timely planting, early planting can help to establish various canopy before the disease pressure increases in the field. That's why the timely planting and crop rotation is very important to reduce the pathogen severity. And since the disease is a seed borne, and that's why you have to treat the seed with considering the any fungicide like agrocin, thiram, captain, or mancozeb. You can treat the seed with the help of 0.25 gram of the fungicide, or 4 gram per kilogram of fungicide of mancozeb you can use for the seed treatment. And hot water treatment is also advisable, like you can treat the seed at 55 degrees centigrade for 10 minutes, and it will also give the better result. And you can spray the crop in the main field with the any fungicide like mancozeb at the rate of 2 kilogram per hectare when it reaches the basically if required in the field and the disease severity is more. That's why you can repeat in the 15 days 12 to 15 days interval. And blast disease of rice, dear learners, the another most important disease is blast disease of rice. And the distribution of this disease is, the blast disease is also it is first recorded in China in 1637, and in Japan it was believed to have occurred in early as in 1744. And it is also reported in so many countries apart from India. And in India, the disease was first recorded from Tanjore district of Tamil Nadu, and in 1918. And the pathogen causes yield loss ranging from the 30 to 60% yield loss depending on the severity and stage of infection. And in the severe condition, it may reach up to the 70% or more than that. And the causal organism and symptoms of this disease is basically the fungal pathogen, and the fungal pathogen is Pyracularia oryzae, and the sexual stage of this is Magniforthic gracia. And the symptoms, you can easily identify the symptoms of the this disease in the main field. The fungus attack on the crop at the stage from the seedling in the nursery to the main field also. The typical symptoms appears on the leaves, that can leaf sheath, rakish, nodes, as well as in the even glooms also. So that's why you can easily identify. And basically it divided into three parts, or symptoms are three types, like leaf blast, node blast, and neck blast. Dear learners, first is leaf blast. Leaf blast is you can easily understand on the basically the blast appears on the leaf, and the at initial stage a small diamond shape lessons with the gray centers and the brown with the help of with brown margin appears on the leaves, and as well as the spots increases in their size as the lessons may collapse together, and it may be the increase in their size also. And in the node blast, it indicate the blast appears on the nodes area, and the affected nodes may break up to all the plant parts, and above the infected nodes also it may die at the nodes area. And the neck blast, dear learners, the fungus infect on the neck region of the panicle that causes the or become the partially for the or completely sterile, because the infected area that can't be the produce the seed also, the result the rotten necks and reducing the grain formation also. In early stage, the neck infection grain filling does not occurs on the panicle that can remain the erect like a dead heart that caused by the stem borers like that. And dear learners, this is about the disease cycle, and because disease cycle, the fungus survives between the cropping season on the infected rice residues and weed host also, that and sometimes volunteer plants in the rice field and the alternative host also. So there are so many factors responsible to harbor the pathogens in the field, and the conidia are easily dispersed by means of winds, water, as well as by means of sometimes seed insect also, but the main is conidia disseminated by wind as well as water. And the secondary infection that the secondary infection of by means of the conidia that can be carried with the help of winds as well as with help of rain also. And the disease cycle that can repeat multiple times within a single growing season. That's why it is a very challenging to minimize the disease severity. And the favorable conditions for the this disease is basically application of the excessive dose of nitrogenous fertilizer, intermittent drizzles, cloudy weathers, high relative humidity more than 90%, and low night temperature about 15 to 20 degrees centigrade, and more number of rainy days or longer duration of the dew, cloudy weather, and slow wind movement, and availability of the collateral host. These are the very favorable conditions for this disease. And management of this disease is also important because it can cause the losses, as you know, more than or sometimes 60% or more than that. That's why it is a very important to minimize the rice blotch disease involving the combination of the cultural practices, genetic and chemical strategy also. Since integrated management is often the most effective approach, so that you can use the various method of the disease management like use of resistant variety, crop rotation practices, sanitation practices. You can use the so many resistant variety available in the market as per your suitability, and crop rotation to avoid the planting of the rice in the same field, that consulting with the rotation of the rice with the non-host crop that can help to reduce the buildup of the fungus in the soil. And the proper management of the crop residues is a very important. Often the harvest, plow under or remove the crop residues to reduce the survival of the fungus pathogen. And monitoring or early detection in the main field is also very important, and timely planting the rice early in the season, and you can escape the peak of the peak pressure of that disease, and early planted rice crop can mature before the disease becomes severe. So dear learners, you have to timely planting or prefer early planting as per your suitability. The fertilizers and nutrient management is also important because balanced dose of fertilizers, especially in nitrogenous fertilizer, that can help to promote the plant health or the making them less susceptible to the disease like rice blast. Avoid overhead irrigation at the time of infection or when the chances of the secondary infection is the more in the field. That's why you have to avoid the overhead irrigation to create a favorable environmental for disease development or spread. That's why you have to avoid the overhead irrigation. And there are some fungicide you have to use the fungicide like mancozeb 75% or any combination of carbendazim 25% or mancozeb 50% are may be effective against this disease. Dear learners, the bacterial leaf blight, that is BLB, the distribution and economic importance of BLB. Dear learners, it is also a very important disease of paddy crop, that is a bacterial disease basically caused by the Xanthomonas oryzae, and it was first reported by the farmers of Uruguay, that is in Japan, in 1884, and later on it was reported by the so many area of the world, and it affected by the rice plant during the growing stage. Basically the rice farmers are breeders due to the potential to cause the significant losses due to this disease. The yield losses may be reported about the 60% as per the severity of the disease. And about the pathogen, the disease is caused by the bacterial pathogen, that is Xanthomonas oryzae, Pathovar oryzae, and the major symptoms of this disease is the initial symptoms appears as a water soaked lesion on the leaves, and lesions turn yellow to basically a necrotic dead on the leaves area and remaining irregular or translucent area with the yellow hollow. And these lesions collapse to cover the larger area or wider area, and leaves may die. And dear learners, you can see here the leaves affected by this disease, bacterial leaf blight, that is BLB, and very clear symptoms you can identify easily. And about the disease cycle, dear learners, the pathogens survive in the field, that is in form of infected plant debris or in the form of seed also. Inoculum production may be produced by the bacteria or released in the form of infected plant part when the rain or irrigation is splashes into the plants. And bacteria enter in the plant through the natural openings like stomata or hydrothodes or sometimes wounds also. And colonization of these bacteria may multiply or spread within the plant, that causing the damage. And the spread of this disease through the basically rain or winds or sometimes irrigation also. The secondary infection of this bacteria for the new plant with the help of irrigation or new infection also. And panicle initiation. In severe cases, the bacterium can infect the panicle initiation and the grain. So these are the disease cycle, dear learners. The disease cycle is understanding the disease cycle is very important to managing the disease. Dear learners, we will meet a small break. Just wait for a few minutes. Thank you very much.
प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो,
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
मित्रों हम उठे और जागे,
मंजिल आने की ध्वनि सुने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय का है द्वार खुला सबकी बातें।
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर।
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर। दुनिया में इसके केंद्र बात,
कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने। स्वयं बने, हम
Dear learners, welcome back once again. Dear learners, we are discussing about the rice, bacterial leaf blight of rice. It is a bacterial disease of rice which is caused by the Xanthomonas oryzae, Pathovar oryzae, and we had discussed about the symptoms, their cause, their disease, and about the losses of this disease. Now we are discussing about the disease cycle. Dear learners, the bacterium can survive in the infected plant debris and in the form of seed also, and the inoculum protection of the bacteria are sprayed in the form of infected plant parts when rain or irrigation splashes into the plants also, and the infection of the bacteria are entered through the natural openings, as I told you, like stomata, as or the sometime wounds or some hydrothot also, and the bacteria may multiply and spread within the plant's cell and the causing the damage, and these bacteria are spread through the rain with the help of winds, with the help of irrigation of water also, from one field to another field, and bacteria is spread in the new plants with the initiating the new infection for the new area. And in severe cases, the bacterium can infect in the panicles and as well as the grain also. So that's why the disease cycle, understanding the disease cycle is very important. Now about the management of disease, and dear learners, the managing the disease with the help, as you know, because it is also spread by the seed, that's why the seed treatment is more important. The treating the seed with the help of certified disease free seed you can use with the avoiding the introducing the bacterium, and the seed treatment with the help of hot water treatment like 50 degrees centigrade for 25 minutes is advisable, and it can helps to eliminate the bacterium from infected seed. Field sanitation is also important, like removing and destroying the infected plant debris in the main field to reduce the source of inoculum. Dear learners, crop rotation is also helpful for this disease to rotate the crop with the non-host crop to break the disease cycle. Dear learners, the nitrogenous fertilizer is also used in the balanced dose, and the copper based spraying of the copper based fungicide that can provide the some important protection against the bacterium infection. And early detection of the field of the disease is also very important to manage the disease severity. And the cultural practices, planting at appropriate spacing to avoiding the excessive nitrogenous that can reduce and the disease severity also. And you can also use the integrated management practices like resistant variety, sanitation, cultural practices, etc. With the combination of those multiple strategy is very important to control the disease. Dear learners, sowing time of it is also advisable to adjust the sowing time to avoid the warm or humid condition during the flowering or grain maturity time. So spraying, you can spray the some fungicide like copper oxychloride or with the combination of the streptomycin sulfate also is advisable. So copper oxychloride or copper sulfate sometime with the streptomycin sulfate or tetracycline hydrochloride is also advisable. Dear learners, the another important disease is false smut. The distribution and economic importance of this disease is basically the disease is caused by the Astilaginoids virus, and it has been reported in the various rice growing region around the world, and it is the most prevalent in the area with the warm and humid climate, which are the favorable for the fungal growth and disease development. Dear learners, infected rice panicle often have to reduce the number of healthy grains due to the formation of sorai instead of the normal kernels, and this result to reduce the overall yield and economic losses for the farmers. And the false smut infected the grain may contain the mycotoxin also, that which are the very toxic compound to produce by the fungi. So dear learners, about the pathogen, the pathogen is Astilaginoid virus, and the symptoms, you can see the symptoms in the very clearly defined symptoms. You can see the in the form of earhead. The smut ball appears on the small at the first and grow gradually up to the size of the 1 centimeter, and the whole rice grain transformed into the mosses, basically in yellowish or sometime later stage in brownish to blackish in color. Dear learners, as the fungus growth intensify the smut balls, that's why the burst and it become the orange and then the later in yellowish or greenish in color. So overall the whole grains may damage for that particular earhead. For only the few grains in a panicle are usually infected sometime, and the rest are the normal. Dear learners, now about the disease cycle. As you know, pathogen are harbors in the glooms as well as the stra also, which are the well as well as sometimes the gramineous weeds also. That's why the seeds have also been found to carry the pathogen in the pericarp or endosperm also. The favorable conditions for the growing of this disease is about 25 to 30 degrees centigrade, and the relative humidity is more than 90%, and intermittent rainfall is also help to rapid development and spread of the disease. Dear learners, continuous rain and the time of heading that may lead to the heavy losses to the crop. Dear learners, it has also been over observed that the incidence of the blast disease is increased with the increase of dose of nitrogen. That's why nitrogenous fertilizer you have to use the in balanced dose. Dear learners, about the disease management, as you know, sanitation is a very important for the overall field. That's why you have to remove and destroy the any infected plant materials to reduce the source of inoculum. The inoculum may infect the panicles, stubbles as well as weeds. And another practices is crop rotation. It is improve the proper crop rotation practices to break the disease cycle. So that's why you have to rotate the crop with help of non-host crop. You can grow some resistant variety or tolerant variety against this disease. And seed treatment, treating the seed with the help of fungicide like carbendazim at the rate of 2 gram per kilogram seed before planting, that can help to prevent the initial infection of the fungus. At the time of harvesting, the diseased plant should be removed and destroyed so that the sclerosia of this disease do not fall on the field. That's why you have to collect and destroy this type of infected pathogens before harvesting. And proper planting time, you have to plant the rice at the recommended time to avoid the favorable conditions for the disease development. So dear learners, as I told you earlier, to avoid the excessive nitrogenous dose of fertilizer, following the recommended dose of fertilizer practices based on the soil testing. Avoid overhead irrigation in this disease also. First, false smut is spread through the water splashing. So that's why you have to avoid overhead irrigation. Application of the fungicide with the spraying of the copper oxychloride at the rate of 2.5 gram per liter of water, or you can use the propiconazole at the rate of 1 ml per liter at the time of boot leaf or milking stage of the crop. And you can also use the tailoring time of the flowering stage to spray the hexaconazole also. And Dear learners, we will discuss now about the insect pests which are affect basically in the paddy crop. First is rice grasshopper. Dear learners, rice grasshopper, as you know, it is an important pest of rice, and it causes the heavy damage to the rice crop when they feed on the plants. Basically, the extent of the damage that depend on the factors such as grasshopper population density and basically the rice growth stage and environmental condition also. So how you can identify the this insect in the field? The body of basically the grasshopper is shiny grayish to yellowish in color, and which are the basically three black lines on its and upper side basically, and in the early stage the young are yellowish with the many reddish brown spots you can observe on their field their body, and they become the greenish to the they grow on older stage also, and the adults of this insect is basically the young are mostly found in the near the grasses and water channels also. And how they can damage the rice field? Basically the adults and young or eat the leaves at the basically the side of the leaf first time, and the rice grasshopper feed the leaves as well as sometimes stems also, and seeds also, and the large portion of the leaves is that consumed by the grasshopper. That's why the rate of the photosynthesis reduces, and the whole crop may damage or the stunted in growth. And the irregular feeding you can find on the seedling to leaf blade also. And during the basically in the month of August to September in India, and they causes the heavy damage because of the favorable conditions at that time, and rice grasshopper also feed in grains consuming the empty of the panicles also. So that's why whole the panicle may damage for that particular plant. And how you can manage the grasshopper in the main field? The managing the grasshopper in the rice field to involve in the combination of the so many preventive measures like cultural, biological, chemical control methods are there, and the regular monitoring of your field is to detect the grasshopper population at early stage, to avoid the sowing of alternate host plant near the rice crop. That's why they may harbor the insect also, to remove the clean field border, removing the weeds also, and dusting the crop with 5 to 10% of methyl parathion and in the male field. And the next important insect is stem borer. Dear learners, the stem borers are the major pest of rice crop also, that can cause the significant damage and yield loss if not managed properly. This disease, this insect bores into the rice plant that feeds on the internal tissues basically, and leading to the losing of that particular plants, and that can extend in the crop damage and loss caused by the stem borers that depend on the various factors including the pest density, rice growth stage, and environmental condition also. So dear learners, stem borer, how you can identify the stem borer in the main field? The identification of the stem borer in the main field is basically the presence of brown colored egg masses near the leaf tip. And you can identify at the time of vegetative stage, the larva enters the stem, and that can feeds on the growing shoots as well as that cause the drying of the central shoot that is known as dead heart. In growing the crop, whole ear head become dried and yield chaffy grains that is called white ear. And stem borers, the nature how they can damage the your main crop. Basically, in the vegetative phase, the central shoot die that of turning the yellow to the dead, yellow in color, that is called dead heart. And in the ear, that is bearing the stage, that is a ear head that appear the completely chaffy and white in color, and both that they can come out easily when pull that's why the ear, if you are pulling the ear head, they can easily pulled out. That's why you can identify easily. And you can see here in the photographs the stem borer larva as well as the pupa of the stem borer and adults, you can see here. And the crop damaged by the this insect, you can see here the dead heart, basically the white panicles you can see in the field, and the completely the grainless or seedless, you can say, in the field. And how you can manage this stem borer in the field? Basically, field should be the clearly the identify the volunteer crops growth stage in the early detection. You can detect the early in the field, and you can remove the proper and dispersal of the disposal of these stubbles, and you can grow resistant variety like Ratna, Madhuk, Kanchana. Are so many resistant variety available in the market against this insect. And you can clip the tip of the seedling before the transplanting to avoid the egg mosses, elimination of the egg mosses. Collect and destroy the egg mosses at the time of or before the transplanting. You can avoid the close plantation in the field, and you can pull out the destroy the affected tillers also. And stem borer, dear learners, you can manage the with the help of trapping system, and the light, you can use the light trap also, and sometimes set up the bird purchase, and that can encourage the bird predators also. Use the pheromone traps also to control the rice stem borer insect. And you can also use the chemical insecticide to avoid the insect borer, and like phosphemidone 40 SL at the rate of 600 ml per hectare you can use also. And dear learners, next insect is cutworms in the rice field. Cutworm is also important insect in the field, and how basically this insect also damage the very severe condition in the field. That's why their feeding habit can lead to the significant crop loss, especially in the early stage of the rice growth. And that's why the effective management is very important to minimize their impact on the rice yield to ensure the healthy crop development. Dear learners, how you can identify the cutworms in the field? You can see here in the photographs clearly how the cutworms the larvae are there. The basically gray to brown or black color or shiny grayish color, and the size is 1.5 to 2 inches, and the shape are basically smooth to cylindrical body, and are there, and sometimes curl like the C in shape. And the examples of this species are agrotis and so many other also. And the life cycle of this insect is basically the brief overview of the life stages are basically egg, pupa, larva, adult also. And symptoms symptoms basically they can cut the symptoms, the main field, main plant, and the basically base of the area. And how you can manage this, basically the through the crop rotation, through field sanitation, through timely planting, and sometimes biological natural predators you can apply, and you can also manage through the chemical insecticide in the main field. And dear learners, this is about the main major insects as well as the diseases of your field of paddy crop basically. I hope this lecture is very informative to you all. That's all about this chapters. Thank you very much, dear learners. We will meet you again. Thank you very much.